Welcome to the Spotlight Series podcast. I'm your host, Slick Sean. Man, I got the dopest gig in the world. I get to have conversations with entertainers and entrepreneurs and listen to their inspiring stories. You can stream the podcast at spotlightseries.net, watch on Roku TV, Facebook Watch, IGTV, and listen on all podcast platforms. In a world full of darkness, the spotlight is on you. What's good, world? This is Slick Sean, host of Spotlight Series podcast. This brother right here, he's an independent hip-hop artist. He's a songwriter. He's an event curator. He's an advocate for music business education. Got songs that's been licensed in shows and movies like Kevin Hart's Zero Fucks Given, comedy special on Netflix, the ABC's The Rookie, UFC's Road to the Octagon, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and the Black Ink Crew. Welcome to the show, Jay Nolan.
Thank you for having me.
For sure. Thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for taking the time to chop it up with us, man. I say interview, but we have conversations, man. So that's
yes, sir.
First thing I want to know, man, is where you from?
I'm from Atlanta. I was born in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, but I was raised in Atlanta.
For sure. How long you been in Atlanta?
Been on and off here since I was like 4 years old, but then like my family like really settled here when I was like 8.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask how was that transition, but it seemed like you've been here long enough to where you pretty much an ATLian.
Yeah. That's really all I know. Like I experienced California for a little bit. Like that's where I started school at. Mm-hmm. But like the lion's share of like all of my experiences happened here.
For sure. When did you start doing music?
Around that same time, once we moved back to Atlanta, my older brother, he's 5 years older than me. He was already like rapping and stuff like that. He was already like, you know, he was my big bro. Like, so anything he was doing, I was trying to get down with it. And so he was rapping. He was listening to, you know, at the time, like DMX, Onyx, Eminem, and like all that type of stuff. So if he was into it, I was into it too. And I was already like really like attached to music anyway. So it was like a natural progression because I was already like learning all the songs on the radio and, you know, so that's when I started. I didn't really, take it like super serious till I was probably like 13 once I hit high school. Mm-hmm. So that's.
That was about the time when I started writing poetry. Did you start writing poetry first, or did you just start straight doing writing hip hop?
It was hip hop right out the bat. I mean, of course, in school, you know, you'll have your little poetry assignments and stuff like that. So I noticed that I was good with those, but I didn't like write poetry on my personal time. I really got into like writing raps simply because like 106 in Park, Freestyle Fridays, you had like Rap City the Basement. So it was like having a Hot 16 was like a major thing at that time. Like if you couldn't rap, like you definitely had to stay to the side. Like you couldn't just jump in a cypher or you couldn't, you know what I mean? Like it was something that people took seriously. Like if you was whack, like they let you know you was whack. So that was pretty much how the culture was when I was getting into it.
Word. Name me 3 of your favorite artists or groups or inspirations as you were growing up.
I tell everybody, man, like I'm influenced by pretty much everybody, but my top 3 is always Tupac, Nas, Lupe Fiasco.
Okay, definitely some dope artists, man, for sure. Tupac was my favorite, and Nas, man, I've always been a fan of him. And Lupe, that dude got bars on bars.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, and some people might be like, how Lupe in your top 3? But for me, just like what his impact was at the time when he came out, like it definitely created a lane for somebody such as myself who wasn't like the hardest and I wasn't trying to be, you know what I mean? So like he brought intelligence, but still had swag, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, that's more like me.
Yeah, he definitely opened up a lane for hip hop artists that ain't on this, you know, the cliche stuff. Man, when he came out with that kick push, man, that was too
exactly.
dope, boy.
Yep.
Then some of my favorites was like Wu-Tang,
yes, sir,
Outkast, and
absolutely.
To tell you the truth, man, Ice Cube, man, was definitely one of my favorites. But my all times was LL Cool J. He's who got me
Okay.
into doing music. Like when I heard I'm Bad, I'm telling my age
Yeah.
a little bit, but when I heard
It's
I'm
all good.
Bad, man, ooh. And then Slick Rick, because that's kind of how I got my name. You know, I was in homage to Slick Rick. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
dope artist.
Storytelling.
So yeah, man. So how was life growing up, man? What was your childhood like?
My childhood was cool, man. You know what I mean? Like, I think I went through the what is now known as like the Atlanta experience. Like when you move to Atlanta, first place you're gonna move to the South Side. You know what I mean? Like when you know, you know what I mean? Because that's the affordable spot where right off the bat y'all could get you a place. So I grew up between College Park and Riverdale. My pops lived on Old National. So you know, it was cool, man. You know what I mean? You know, you had to watch your back, you know what I mean, a little bit, but at the same time, it was a lot of fun. Like, especially during the time when I was growing up, you know, that was like you still had like the video stores, the blockbusters and all that stuff. So me and my bro, we would like go rent the video games and not return them and run up a tab on my pop's card and all type of shit like that. And you know what I mean? My household was just like a lot of love, man, for real. You know, my mother was always there for me. She always looked out. She was more of like the emotional support system. She definitely was an advocate for like communication. Like if it's something you need to say, like if you can't tell nobody in the world, bring that shit to me. She had like an open door policy in the house. She never really wanted me to like walk in the house and like feel like I couldn't come to her. So she always like kept her door open, even when, you know, as I'm older now, I'm like, damn, you really didn't have to do that. But she didn't want me to ever like walk up and see a closed door and feel like I can't knock or feel like, okay, well, let me try later. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. And I really was into basketball, you know, more so than hip hop at a younger age. Like, excuse me, music was definitely a staple, but basketball was the dream, you know what I mean? And I found out the hard way that wasn't for me, especially once I tried to like go to high school. I was like training during the summer and I broke my leg. I got tripped out the air going up for a layup. And, you know, it was whack, you know. So like I broke my tibia, I believe it was, the shin, you know, it's real sensitive. So so that basically like made me get real serious about music because I couldn't do nothing else. And I haven't looked back since.
Hey, man, it's funny you brought up the South Side Atlanta when you first moved, because I moved here about 2 years ago, and that's exactly where I'm.
Yes, sir.
I'm in Riverdale, you know.
Yes, sir.
Saying? But I love Clayco, man. I'm telling you, Clayco is like, I don't know. It's like the soul of Atlanta, you know, because Buckhead, you know, they all on the fancy schmancy and, you know, all that. But it's like the South Side, man, like College Park and all of that, East Point, man, that's like, I don't know. It's like the roots, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. But that's funny that you brought that up because you are so right. That's where people start out at.
Yep.
So tell everybody your social media handles so they know how to follow you and keep up with you.
Absolutely. So pretty much everything is at Real J Nolan. Like you can't go wrong putting that in at Real J Nolan. So that's on Instagram, Twitter. If you even happen to look for me on Facebook, you can put in facebook.com/Real J Nolan. If you just want to go directly to the website, it's realjnolan.com. I try to keep it as simple as possible. For
sure. All right, man. I got a song queued up. It's titled Self-Love. Okay. So we're about to play Self-Love by J Nolan, produced by Dope Notaria on the Spotlight Series podcast. Let's get it.
It sound like some tropical shit, man. Give me one of them pineapple salmon dishes or something.
Yeah, self-love at an all-time high. It's a feeling I can't even describe. Used to watch from the side, heart beating full of ego and pride. Scared of living, more fearful to die. Narrow minds had me second-guessing. It's suppression blocking my blessings, now I'm manifesting. Set intentions, the paper stretching, people asking questions. Bet they wonder what changed with me. Learn to switch to fit if it can't fit me, just stay with me. Listen, animosity gradually on the decline. Respiratory flowing when I recline. About to catch a flight, throw the peace sign. New city, new state. Shit, I'm leaving on my baggage in my suitcase. Money is rising, my skin looking vibrant. I'm moving with impeccable timing. It's more than just rhyming. All this beauty that surround me, plus we luxury dining. Only reason y'all be tripping, cause you nickel and diamond. Ooh, peak the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God, homie. You thank God, man. I thank God, man. You know, blessings. Yeah, peak the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God. Yeah, we thank God, homie. Yeah, I made it through situations I never thought I would face. People talking reckless, dead in my face. Reputation on the line. Wonder if niggas respect me if I let it be. Either way, I be leaving with my integrity. Never thought I was better. My mama told me be clever. She showed me that I'm a king and I'm reigning through any weather. My value was never tainted. With or without the payment, you don't find me entertaining. I'm steadily upgrading. Guess it's left the perception, but really it's cool. Independence gives me the leisure to break all your rules. I'm less than enthused. I'm blessed with the jewels to build nations. I'm one with myself and the product of my creations. Low maintenance, just need the basics. Blue checks, my life is verification. White sand, we planning out the vacation. All black like chocolate and activation. Ooh, Pete the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God, homie. Yeah, I thank God, man. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, Pete the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God, dog. I thank God every day. Yeah, you got no idea what I've been through, man. Yeah, I almost died at 3 years old from an overdose. Could've died in a crazy car accident. My name been slandered and drugged through the mud, but I'm still here, and I love myself more than ever. Yeah, it's that self-love. Yeah, self-love, dog.
It is Self-Love by Jay Nolan. Hey, man, that's a dope track, boy.
Much appreciated.
Feeling that cut. So, you know, I got to ask, man, I heard on the song, you say you almost died at 3 by overdose. What happened? What's up with that?
Yeah, man, just being a little kid, man. So like I had a little cold or whatever. And basically I knew that my parents used to like give me this little cough medicine stuff. And I got impatient. My mother was like, she was gonna give it to me after she got out. I think she was like in the shower or something like that. And I found a way to bust that child proof, you know what I'm saying? And I knocked out the whole bottle, bro. Like, yeah. So that sent me to the hospital. They had to like pump all that junk up out my system and everything, put tubes down my throat, and it wasn't nothing nice, especially for at that age, you know, like you don't know what the hell they're trying to do.
Yeah, so you just being a badass kid.
Yeah, basically, like.
And you lucky that you had to go to the hospital, because I'm sure she would have whooped your butt.
Oh
boy.
Man, tore it up.
Yeah, but but it was definitely a serious thing, man. Like,
yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you're here, man, because you sure are blessing the world with your light, my boy.
Indeed.
So what about that car wreck, man? What happened with that?
Oh man, so like that one was so me and my older brother, we was on our way up to Stonecrest, and we was trying to, you know, go up there, chill out, hang out, look at some clothes or whatever, and he just cruising, and this dude on the other side of the road like just took his own liberty, you know what I mean? Light was red on his side. He went around a whole nother car to try to turn and get on the interstate. So he smashed into us, and we just like, we didn't know what was going on, because we really didn't see him coming. Somebody had to tell us like, nah, he went around a whole nother car, went through the red light and tried to go to the interstate. So we were like in the middle of the road, and he just like smashed into us, and it was like crazy. Dang. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, my whole life flashed before my eyes in the situation. I wasn't badly injured or nothing like that, but it could have been terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Folks drive crazy over here, man. They'll run over you, bro. I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah, I
For
don't know what
sure.
I don't know what be going on with people, man. Like they just be doing
Dude.
some
Man,
wild stuff.
they be doing stuff like, I'm like, dude, is your wife pregnant in the car about to have a baby? Why is you flying like that, bro? Man,
Yeah,
I don't
man.
understand.
They be
I ain't gonna
like,
lie, this is a true story. I ain't
yeah.
told nobody. I'm gonna tell it right here. I almost I almost caught a body on the interstate 285, man. Somebody, I was tired. I had just came back from Alabama. I had been driving all day, and I was trying to get over into the slower lane. Man, apparently this car, they were doing like 100, man, and they almost just ran completely over me while I was trying to get over. And I was so mad, man. I grabbed my heat and I was trying to chase them, right?
Come
They was
on,
getting off at the
son.
exit, and I was like aiming. I had rolled down the passenger side window and everything.
Hey,
Man. It was crazy, dude. I was road raging. I was tired. They almost ran over me. I was like,
yeah, I get it.
fuck. But yeah, I almost caught a body.
Oh
Shit was
my
crazy, man.
goodness.
Yeah, man. These people be watching too much Fast and Furious,
They
Mission
do.
Impossible,
Be
man.
playing the video games too.
Thinking they can
They
do it.
do. I know, right? Man, tell me about this sync licensing. How did you get into that?
Oh man, so my first experience into it was like I would say 2011. I had like went on Sonic Bids and like just like submitted for this thing. It was like a Quicksilver placement during like a surf competition. I didn't even see the thing. Like they said I was on it. They gave me like a email saying I was, and that was that. So I was like, okay, that wasn't glamorous at all. But 2013, this guy named Joseph Parker reached out to me on Twitter, and basically he was like, hey man, I see you out here, you dope MC, but I got this opportunity. I want to link you with this producer, and you know, I mean, we think we can make some money. So from there, he linked me with this producer by the name of Soul Plus Mine, who's out in LA. And Soul Plus Mine, he's been killing the sync game like since before I even met him, you know what I mean? So that's like what he's been doing for a living full time the whole time I've known this guy. So he just like started sending me beats, and I really didn't know what these beats were for. He was just like, man, just think of like, you know, whatever you want to say on them, say them, but just make it a little bit more generic than you normally would. And I'm like, all right, bet. So we just kind of went from there. We got our first placement in UFC Road to the Octagon in 2013. And, you know, that was a great experience because we got paid up front. We got paid off of being that it was a pay-per-view situation. And then, you know, with UFC, that circles through the whole Fox Sports pipeline and everything. So we also got paid off reruns and all that stuff. So that my first experience was probably one of my best because it's like we got paid hella times off that.
Yeah.
And it basically opened my eyes like, wow, I've been out here putting out all this music, and I made more off of this one song than I've done my catalog up to this point. Like, okay, that's an eye opener. Yeah. So from there, me and him continued to work. We went strong with you know, doing that for probably about 3 years. 2016, we kind of took a little break. I continued to kind of like get my feet wet in the sync game. So I started forming relationships with other people in the business that, you know, were doing similar things. And recently, me and Soul Plus Mine, we actually just got linked back up and started working on some new music. So we're gonna try to like elevate even further now, because the whole goal is like to like get in like these big budget movies and stuff like that that's coming out this year. Now that everybody's kind of like finishing production after Corona. And so yeah, man. But over time, just continue to get my placements up, and you know, I think everything started to really kind of culminate last year. I had a placement on Little Fires Everywhere, which is like an extremely popular show. Had 2 placements on there, actually two separate episodes. They played the same song. And I didn't even know about it until the top of this year. You know what I mean? And I actually watched the show and didn't notice it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got my royalty statement, and I was like, whoa, I watched this show and did not hear myself. But the funny thing about it is that the song I did was like a chopped and screwed type of thing. So I didn't even recognize my own voice. Like
Wow.
I had to like listen back, like, oh yeah, I remember doing that song. But yeah, so that was like one of the big placements last year. And then at the end of the year, when Kevin Hart's Zero Fucks Given came out, it was another situation where I wasn't informed ahead of time. I literally had just got off stage doing this drive-in show that I put together. Yes, sir. And me and my girl came home after cleaning up and everything, and was like, "You want to check out this Kevin Hart thing? It's been out for a couple of days." And we was like, "Yeah, why not?" And he's gonna hit the stage, and I'm like, "Damn, that voice sound familiar." Like, I know who that is. I'm still not catching it. That is me, but I'm like, I know who that is. And then I'm like, "Oh, babe, that's me." She like, "Man, what are you talking about?" I'm like, "That's me," and like not on the screen, but listen. So we had to rewind it back, and she finally understood, like, oh yeah, that is you. And that was, people just been hitting me up ever since, like, yo, man, Kevin Hart is crazy. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this stuff though, but if it took Kevin Hart, okay.
And that's the thing, man. A lot of people be thinking that, stuff be popping off overnight, but they don't know, man, we be shooting in the gym for many years, man.
Exactly.
They just be seeing it when they finally catch it. You just catching on, that's what they be
doing. Exactly. And of course, when it gets on a higher profile level, that's when people start perking up. Cause like when I've had like stuff on like sports and all type of different things, but they're like, that's cool, whatever. But then you see Kevin Hart, somebody who's a household name, everybody kind of, regardless of their opinion of him or how they feel about his comedy, they know who that is. You know what I mean? So now it's like, oh, okay, I see you.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I've been watching your growth in the sync game, man. And my favorite, I'm a little partial, but my favorite is the Alabama Connect, because I'm from Alabama, so that's my favorite. How you got to sync with Alabama. What song was that?
It's a song called Bad Vibes. I actually put that out at the top of this year, and yeah, man, it was just a single that I threw out there. Like, really, it was like a joint that kind of like, it was some masked language in there because I had parted ways with old management at last year, and the situation unfolded, didn't go as well as it could have. So it was a little coded language in that song for Bad Vibes. And yeah, man, the social media. Whoever runs Alabama football social media just like hit me up in a DM and was like, "Hey man, we got a couple weeks before the draft come up. I found you through Bad Vibes, and we would love to like use it in some of our draft material if that's all right with you." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Like, y'all the top football program in the country. Like, man, I'm gonna say no."
Right? Say less, right? Yeah, man. So I'll definitely be watching, what's going on and what's to come next, man. I'm excited to see what's next for you in the sync game, because that's where the money at, artists. If you out there listening, that's where the money at. You better get in.
yeah, especially like, and I wouldn't encourage nobody to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna stop putting out music and just do that." But it's definitely a way to like fund yourself, you know what I'm saying? Especially as it pertains to wanting to do things independently. Like, having that money coming in definitely has allowed me to save and invest back into myself. So I'm not necessarily in a position where I want a label to just step in and be like, "Okay, we got it from here." It's like I've learned so much over time that I don't really aspire for that no more. Like, if it comes, it has to be right. You know what I mean? But when you set yourself up for success, you know what I mean, you don't necessarily need to latch on to no other brand and nothing like that. It's like, if y'all want to work, I could come do something over there, but I don't think y'all need to like own my shit though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we need to like really, like, let's do some contractor type stuff. Like, let me come over there, do some one-off projects or something, but y'all don't need my whole pie over here. Like, y'all tripping.
Right, because they basically hold you hostage. You don't have no creativity. Like, man, stay independent if you can.
Yeah, especially because, like, a lot of people you never even hear from, and then some of the people that you will hear from, if it don't do well, they'll never put nothing else out on that person and just keep them there. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yep. crazy. So I want to talk about, man, what you've been doing as far as the advocate for the music business education and
Okay.
the with the Fresh and Local, man. Tell us about
Yes.
Fresh and Local, man.
Man, Fresh and Local, man. Like it's so interesting how Fresh and Local unfolded, because like what it turned into was not exactly the goal at first. Like really, Fresh and Local was just like a meetup between myself and Rex Navi, G-Lo, Just Thoughts, and eventually we added Key Turner. We had Phil J, Gumbo Soul. That's like the base. But really just like would meet up on Sundays and hit the studio at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And it became a thing where we developed into a podcast. So like that was like super early too, like 2012, 2013, before podcast was like really common. We jumped in there and just kind of like figured it out a little bit. And I got tired of like talking about what other people had going on. Like, all right, yeah, we talking about news, we talking about, whatever's going on. That's cool. But I started like looking towards like what moves were being made on the business side. And I would kind of like start injecting that into the show. And as I got more fully immersed into that, it was like, I think that this is more of a lane that I want to take my career in, kind of like. So when we started doing like the Fresh and Local Fest and stuff like that, that was like a way to kind of like get the ball rolling, because it's like, okay, we got access to so many artists that we know and love within the area, so many producers, DJs, etc. So this is a way to at least give everybody a platform to be seen and heard on an equal level at an event where it's not really no ego. No, you really don't have to like come fly if that's not your prerogative. Like this ain't that. So from there, I was like, okay, now that I know how we can get so many people in a building, how can we make this more than what it just is? You know what I mean? So then it was like, okay, let's start like injecting some information into this. And then that became Songwriter Social Club through the Fresh and Local brand, you know what I mean? And I ended up partnering with Fiverr.com, which that partnership allowed me to get inside a General Assembly to host it. And we did a few events there, and it was just strictly about the music business, the business of songwriting. And, we ended up having like really successful events with that. And then, last year came around and, all the virtual stuff started taking over. So I was able to actually fuse the two for last year's Fresh and Local Fest. We had part performance, part conference type of situation, similar to like what A3C or South by Southwest does, just on a, smaller scale. But from there, I really started understanding like, man, like all this information that I have like access to, you know what I mean? Like I got to find a way to like package this and like make it solid. So then that's when I started actually writing the Pen Game portfolio and kind of shifting into that as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And I had a chance to cop that Pen Game portfolio, and there's some good stuff on there, man.
Thank you.
Really good stuff. How can people get that, man, to so they can learn more about sync and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So if I always encourage people, go directly to the source, realjnolan.com, because that comes directly to me. But if you want to go through typical retail measures, you can go to Amazon, you can get it on your Kindle. You can also go to Audible and get the audio version if you like. So, pretty much anywhere that you would like to go and get it, it's available to you. It's not on like Barnes and Nobles, I don't think, but like Amazon, Audible, realjnolan.com is right there.
For sure. Well, man, I appreciate you for coming through, man, and chopping it up with us. I would like to ask you to leave us with some words of encouragement for any kind of artist or anybody trying to get into the entertainment field.
Okay. I think my biggest words of encouragement are always like, I don't really care what your talent is, man. You could be trash and make it in today's world. So arm yourself with as much information as possible. You know what I'm saying? Because whether or not I or anyone else likes your music, somebody probably will. But if you don't know what to do with it, you're going to get ran up through the game, man. Like it's too many stories of people being successful and then 2-3 years later they broke, or they looking at the paperwork asking questions when they should have known what was in there at first, or at least had a credible attorney do so. So arm yourself with as much information as possible. You don't necessarily have to come to me to get it. You know what I mean? It's out there, but an easy way to get started at the very minimum is to spend $4.99 on a pen game portfolio. But like, also, like, don't feel restricted to where you at. You know what I'm saying? Like, today, people are blowing up on TikTok. It's not necessarily the people in their neighborhood that's making them stars. So get out of that local mentality. Notice that there's a world out here that could be waiting for exactly what it is that you do, whatever that may be. You don't even have to do music. Like, I feel like we're 2020, 2021, we're in a whole business renaissance right now, especially for Black people. So arm yourself with as much information as possible. Don't restrict yourself. Don't limit yourself to your neighborhood or the places that you frequent. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, there it is. Facts on facts, y'all. Yeah. I hope y'all taking heed to that sauce he dropping.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, well, thank you for stopping through, man. And I just want to leave you with this, Jay Nolan, in a world full of darkness, bro. The spotlight is on you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Spotlight Series Podcast. I'm your host, Slick Sean. You can follow on Facebook, Spotlight Series Podcast, on IG, spotlight.series1. You can stream the podcast at spotlightseries.net. Watch on Roku TV, Facebook Watch, IGTV, and stream on all podcast listening platforms. In a world full of darkness, the spotlight is on you.